Good afternoon and welcome. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes with Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, and I am so glad you've decided to spend a little bit of your afternoon with us, so welcome. Let's see if we can get our welcome slide up here so you can see what we are all about at CSL Ocala. Maybe our list of values, there we go. Lean in. The first value on our list is spiritual growth and practice. That is the reason that we come together as a community, is to learn spiritual practices and to support one another in our growth. And that's a big part of what we're doing here today as we talk about listening as spiritual practice. We value love. It's also right there at the top of our list, and appreciation, community, freedom, creativity, health and wholeness, generosity, and financial well-being. These are the things that are important to us. And this is our vision and our mission. We are one Center for Spiritual Living of, I don't know, several hundred that are located around the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. And so we each have our own individual mission and vision statement. And this is our statement at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. We are a model center for spiritual living, as evidenced by the transformational impact we have on our spiritual community, the Centers for Spiritual Living organization, and the community at large. And what that means to me is that, you know, we're doing what we came here to do if lives are changing. If your life is better as a result of you listening or participating in our community, then our mission is accomplished. That's what we came here to do. And our mission is to empower individuals to awaken to the power and presence that lies within and all around them, so they may live their best lives. And so that means we believe that spirit, that divine spark, lives inside of each one of us. And there's nothing we need to do to get it, to deserve it. It's just how it is. And so we explore that from a lot of different directions. And today we are going to be having a conversation about listening as spiritual practice. We are in part, I forget which part we're in, but we're talking about the Revolutionary Love Project from Valarie and See No Stranger. And revolutionary love is the decision to love people, to labor on behalf of others, to basically put yourself out there for the benefit of not just yourself and the people that are closest to you, but for the whole world, like for everybody. It's revolutionary love. And so this month we're talking about orienting the compass to loving people who show up as opponents. Now, an opponent is not necessarily an enemy, right? An enemy is something you think of as static or fixed, but an opponent could be somebody who's just going against your will in the moment. Could be, my 4-year-old grandson could be my opponent. So we're talking about how we love our opponents, how to do that. And part of that practice is in listening. And so I've invited a couple of my friends, dear friends. You're familiar with them if you've been watching us. We'll have Corinne Dean. Let me bring Corinne in right quickly. Hey, Corinne.
Hello, Cindy. So happy to be here today.
Yes, I'm thrilled to have you as well. And I want people to know that you are my partner in peace building and at the Circle Up Center for Practical Peace Building out of Ocala. And just what an honor it is to be in that role with you and working to change our community in like real, tangible, measurable ways.
Yes. Yes, it is an amazing endeavor, and I'm very happy to be doing that with you as well. And it's wonderful to see the effect it has. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. And I'm going to bring in Reverend Mary Ellen Cassie, another dear friend and peer of mine. How are you, Reverend Mary Ellen?
Hi there. Welcome.
Hey. Welcome. Reverend Mary Ellen and I went through our ministerial training together. She lives in Hamilton, Canada, and is just an incredible person and the absolutely right person to be speaking on this topic of listening as spiritual practice. So, yeah, I think I did things a little bit out of order, but I'm going to take myself and Corinne out of the feed and let Mary Ellen do an invocation for us.
My pleasure.
We'll do that? Wonderful. Thank you. Oops.
Still here.
Can I start?
Still here.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome to today, and I invite you to join me in consciousness. So just settle back in wherever you are sitting or relaxing into this moment as we join together. We come together knowing that there is one divine presence everywhere. Everywhere where I am, it is, and everywhere that you are, it is. I am and we are united in love. And it's appropriate to talk about that today since we're talking about listening and that the presence is all there is. So we come together as adventurers in revolutionary love. And we are determined, we are motivated, courageous, humbled. And we know that we are enough, and we express, even though it may be difficult from time to time, a sense of fearlessness as we step forward and move forward in our commitment to this revolutionary love. We express our strength, and we continue on this journey. We are the adventurers in revolutionary love, something that I signed up for, and that I invite all of us to put our hands up and move forward in this. So I invite you to listen in with joy. And as I release these words, knowing that everything that is to be said is said, and to be answered will be answered. And in divine grace, I release these words to the law of the universe. And together we say, and so it is, or let it be, and blessings.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Reverend Mary Ellen. I love that, adventurers in revolutionary love.
Well,
I love it. Thank you so much. It just it lightens it up a little bit. You know,
Well, we're talking
it
about that.
yes, it brings the joy back into it. It's thank you. Thank you. Love. Great setup. Great setup for our conversation. So again, it's just so perfect that you two are the ladies that, you know, are the people we're having this conversation with today. Because just to catch people up, we are all participating in a program through Circle Up, Center for Practical Peace Building. That's a curriculum that I have been working on for several years. That's called Self-Renewal, and it is to help people to heal emotionally, and, you know, to heal within themselves and also heal relationships. And so we do an awful lot of listening, don't we?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of speaking too, you know, but when we're in circle, right, everybody gets a chance, right? That's the idea of being in circle, that everybody gets an opportunity to speak. And so we
Very
have
true.
like a dozen people. Right? Do you want to add it? What do you want to say about it, Corinne? About how our setup and what we're doing?
It's well, we're doing on Zoom,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but which works out well because now Mary Ellen can join us. So we're very grateful for these, for this technology, and we set it up. One day, Cindy does go through the curriculum and the concepts and the ideas, the self-awareness, the self-renewal concepts. And we do get a discussion going some during that class, but then we also meet again on a different evening where it's just open discussion. And let me tell you, it is powerful, it is beautiful, and it is an honor. It is such an honor to be part of that sharing. And that, I think, is a great lead into listening as community, because we are, and Mary Ellen puts it so beautifully, she calls us her tribe. And that is the perfect word for what we do. We are a tribe, and we are there, and we may not even agree on different ideas, but that's okay, because we listen together. We listen as our small community of that evening. We do listen, and it is an honor, I have to say. I feel very blessed to be a part of that.
You stated that also beautifully. Thank you. You know, I think what's different about what we're doing in Circle Up in these conversations are that they're important conversations, right? The really deep stuff that you don't get to share with people in a usual setting. You know, like some of the things that we talk about in Circle Up are things I have never even talked about with my family or some of my friends, you know. So it's a really special kind of environment, I guess, that we've created this community. Yeah, with Circle Up. So yeah, so these ladies happen to be part of that group. So as I said, we have been listening very intently to one another for the past how many months? This is July, so 7 months.
Yes, 7 months. Yeah.
So
I do like this, the once a month, because it's going throughout the year, and because it's kind of special to have it go throughout the year, you know, because it just, especially this year following, well, we're not even following COVID, right? We're still in it. It's just been beautiful.
Yeah. So I just wanted to explore, you know, this idea of listening as community, right? Like, what does it mean for you now, having been part of this community and whatever other communities you may have been a part of before? You know, what does that mean to listen as community? I thought we'd explore that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can jump in if you'd like.
Sure.
Go for it.
And thanks for that, you know, both of you, in the entry into our discussion today. It's perfect. What does it mean to listen as community? And Corinne, you're right. I called everybody my tribe last week. So first off, listening opens up the doors through understanding. And I'm going to talk as a person who is in this community now, where there is an understanding, and if there isn't, there's always questions to be asked of the person sharing, etc. But there's a great deal of respect and listening in silence. I think that's key for me. And also I see it as windows of opportunities for people like myself who may not have felt so vulnerable or humbled, and willingness to share, and trust comes up, and a whole bunch of other emotions come up as a being, but to provide a safe place. That is one of the most important things for healing to take place. And I can express that because I've had that 2 months back to back now. I've had this aha experience, but a freedom that came from sharing and then led to this healing. And so, and I'm going to be bold enough to say that, usually I'm not that bold, but that we learn to share, to drop our disguises, or another word would be masks. Because we like people to think we're just hunky-dory wherever we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think when we drop a disguise or a mask and really show up is perhaps one of the most important things that I've learned as I continue on my own work and journey, is that I think Gabor Mate says, the biggest stress is being who you are not. And that has resonated with me for the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, and thinking, yes. So to be authentic, you must expose yourself. It's okay. I don't have those Polaroid cameras where you can have your picture right away, and it's a terrible one or not, but I know that it's healing for me, and I trust that whatever we share in our group, it's confidential, etc., but that I think it's the element that building community and building trust and respect for each and every person that is there, and allows them to perhaps percolate within their own beingness, or to gain comfort to share. And I think that's bred there. I think it's birthed in that. It may have taken me 7 months or so to get to this place, but now it's been, the nut has been cracked open, and so I'm trusting that it will continue to flow. And that's part of it, is making that commitment every month and doing that. And so this has been a great thing for me. So that's what I think about community, because I think the next question about how we can do other things is another question. But that's what I have to say about, I think, the community and the tribe that I belong to. It's a sacred place where we can share our intentions and put attention on the person that is sharing. That's the gift.
I love it. Oh, thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Mary Ellen, I like how you call it a gift. Excuse me, because it is a gift. It is definitely a gift. And what you said made me think of, I believe it's Brene Brown that says, when we are vulnerable, we allow others to be vulnerable. So when you are in a community, listening as a community, you're in this tribe, you're in this circle, it allows people to stay quiet if they would like to, and just be part of it with the listening. And when they feel safe, then they as well can share. And then, because we're doing this again as a community, as a circle, we are getting different perspectives. And that what's really neat to watch when we do this particular discussion group is that someone will say something, and you see someone sits up straighter also on the screen, and they're like, oh, because it brings something up for them. It reminds them of something from long ago, or even recently, that they never thought about, or that they never even thought was important. It is really it's really fun to see the aha. And I think as a community, when you do that as a community, you just get such a wide array of experiences, and it also validates a lot of people. I get validated because I'll think, oh, I'm the only one that feels this way, or I'm the only one that's had this experience. And then when I find out someone else has had the experience, or that simply understands what I'm going through, it, again, that sense of safety, and that how do you put it? Like you crack open the nut, and it just, things start coming out. And when you open up like that, I tell you what, you know who dives in? Spirit dives right in there when you crack that open, and it is just a beautiful feeling, and it is a definite gift to watch someone else experience that as well. So that's what I like about community, is just that variety of perspectives, and the ability to be vulnerable with other people, to take the mask off, to be ourselves. And I like that Gabor Mate quote. And what was it again? What was the quote? The
biggest stress is being who you are not.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
One line, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, think of all the energy that it takes to keep this mask up. And when you can take it off, it's almost just, you're like, finally, someone. I just real quick, I'll share. I drove up I was down in Southwest Florida earlier today. I drove up, so I was driving. It's about a 3-hour drive, and the woman I was driving with, it's really cute because she's talking. I'm listening, and I'm just listening. I'm driving, and she's just talking, and then she'd cry a little bit, and then she talks some more and cry, and she finally looked at me and she says, "When I'm with you, I cry a lot." And I said, because I'm listening. I told her, I said, thank you. I actually take that as a compliment. I just thought it was very sweet. And because things were coming up, and she was cracking open a little bit. And of course, the tears, I know there's what do we call tears?
Holy water.
Holy water.
Holy water.
And she was just so adorable when she kind of looked at me. She goes, "Why do I cry so much when I'm with you?" So there is a beauty in that. It's definitely, and then when you truly listen, it does allow people to feel safe.
Yeah. Oh, you both just so beautiful. I'm so happy and affirmed myself to hear your takeaways, because, I did this work in the prison. And it was just me, it was myself and Jeffrey from River Phoenix. We were together a couple of times doing it, but it was something I just wish everybody could experience, to see the aha moments as they're happening all around you. And that as other people are changing, you're changing too. There's that whole mirror effect, and what I call the circle magic, when you hear someone says something that could have come out of your mouth, from the depths of your heart and soul, and they look nothing like you, or they've had a completely different life experience, but yet here we are connected and seeing how we're the ways that we're the same and the ways that we're connected. Yeah. So I love that. So then, so that leads into the next question, or the next conversation, which is, what does the circle or the listening make possible in community that's not possible otherwise? Like everybody's so isolated. We've been isolated with COVID, and people were isolated before COVID, right? Let's be honest. We're in our day-to-day life and not taking a lot of time to take care of ourselves, or to really tend to the really important stuff of your heart, So it's special that we have this group that's even going there, that we can do this together, right? But I think, I've been on a spiritual path for years and years and years, and done my reading and, classes and things like that. But there is something different about this, right? There's something about that group. I don't know if it's the circle, maybe. There is something different about this experience to me. because it somehow it expands your view so much of who you are and who other people are. It's like, you know, something happens, right? An event happens, an accident, for example, and you, Corinne, might see it from one angle and somebody else might see it from another angle, and they're seeing different things, you know, but everybody is like committed to their truth. You know, this is how it was. This is what I saw. And when you're in a circle with more people, it's like your picture grows, like having a 360 camera in the room. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. What a great way to put that.
Yeah, so I think that's what accelerates, to me, that's what accelerates the healing.
I
Right?
agree. I agree, because another thing that I have learned, that I see not just something that an event, I see myself in 360 now, because doing this as a community, I've learned a lot about me, because I'm starting to detect how people see me, and I'm thinking, really? You see, really? You know, so it's fascinating. And so I've been able to not only see different events through everyone else's eyes, I'm able to see myself through everyone else's eyes. And that is a great healing too, because hey, as we get to know ourselves, as that self-awareness increases, oh, it opens the doors to so many different things. And so that's what I see. I don't know if Mary Ellen has seen the same, but that's what I've done in this group.
No, and I agree with both of you that for me, listening, and even though we're on Zoom and we may be in little squares, I still see us, because I love the word circle up. I'm in a circle. When I'm in a circle, it's like wearing my ring. I'm unified. And so I see us in a circle, and it goes around, and there's no disconnection. It's about connection. And so I think that's one of the things that, when your question is about, you can't achieve that in other ways, but you can't achieve what we do in our tribe, or the tribe that I belong to now, is that it is endearing, and there's a sense of freedom and acceptance. And even, I'm going to step boldly out there again and say that there's room. There's a room for the possibility and the allowance for being seen as being wounded. And nobody wants to walk outside in the real world as a wounded creature. And then it's also an opportunity for me, because I like to discern after our sessions, our discussion group, etc., and journal. And now I do a lot of this alone, but it's not the same as where someone is seen, heard, and validated, or even someone, as you say, Corinne, might speak up and say, oh my goodness, they might have a remembering of their own. And so, because I question myself and my actions now in every situation. And that's a tool or toy that I like to call it, a toy in my toy box, that I can take out and look at myself now and say, interrupt my self-critic or do something else. Because I'm listening to that voice as well as saying it out loud, and I just interrupt it and say, no, you don't belong here. That was a long time ago. That was a long time ago, and this is now new. So you have to speak to me with new words. And so this is what I do. I become an interchanger. I replace, remove and replace with new words. And so this is how I keep cultivating what I want to be part of this revolutionary love, or my own healing and wellness. And so that's what I do when I don't have anyone else around. I could do mirror work, but now interrupting with intention, etc., like that, then I know that I'm staying authentic with myself. I just call it out and say, no, I know that doesn't work today. Used to, not today. So those are some of the gifts of even getting stronger and having a voice. I think too, having a voice to be shared in public. Because when I came on board, I didn't know anybody other than Reverend Cindy and Donna, of course. But you know, and now here I am. I'm making friends with people that I didn't know before, and so it's almost a sense of being rebirthed. That's what I'm going to, because that's what I feel. Not just rejuvenated, but rebirthed, because I'm birthing new concepts, new ideas, I'm allowing feelings that weren't so pretty. They are now beautiful. They are now beautiful. They have, we buy roses and then we don't like them when they die, but, we like them when they thrive. And so I am learning to thrive. And so these are the gifts that flow out of community.
Yeah.
That I can't get. I live alone, so I can tell you for the last 19 months being locked up here, isolation is isolation.
Yeah.
And so you have to become creative, I guess.
Yeah.
And open and answer the call when I got knocked on the door here. I said yes. So.
Thank you for saying yes. I see Mary Lou's made a couple of statements there. Circle makes trust. Yeah, circle makes trust for real. Maybe Richard could put that up there. Yes, knowing no one is going to judge you or tell others about you. Yeah.
Yeah, big.
It's a safe house. That was the other thing she said. And that's the most important thing about listening, or listening as spiritual practice is creating that safe space. That's what the listening does. The listening creates the space for the conversation to happen and for the feeling to emerge and whatever it is. You need the silence. It's kind of like when a lake gets all mucky, the water's moving around and everything. But, as it settles down, all the muck goes to the bottom and you get clarity,
Yes.
And the icky stuff kind of, floats and you get rid of it. But that's what listening does. It clears the space. Clears the space.
Exactly.
For the real essence to show up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this part, in listening community in Valarie's work is really around listening to opponents. And, we have been listening to one another as friends, right? So the next step is to really be able to take this to another level. How do we create the space for people around us that are even our opponents to be able to be heard and to heal? Because, well, you know what? Let me back up before we go into that conversation. For people who are not part of Circle Up right now, and they're saying, my gosh, I wish I could have a community like that. I wish that I had a place where I could feel that free. What could people do to experience that? In your thoughts, what are your ideas?
What can they do to experience what we have with our Circle Up group?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Let me back it. I'll tell you, because I guess I've been so immersed in this work myself.
Right.
I feel like I am a walking circle. I don't have to be in a circle with our little tribe here to feel like I'm in circle, because I approach all of my relationships that way now, right? So I look at other people as reflections of me, as equals. So it's like taking that community vibe that we've created in our circle and taking it out. Right.
Oh,
so I take it with me. And that's what I want to, that's part of why I'm doing this curriculum and this work, is because I want to see that happen for people. So I don't know. Welcome your comment.
I want to see circles everywhere. That's what I'd like to see. And even here in Ontario, like to start that. It's, I think there's a need for it, a great need. all our, and learning this, that we have inherited so much from the time we were birthed and that day forward for 5 years, and we've adopted everything that we've heard and witnessed, and then through our grandparents and ancestors, we have all these ancestors living with us, and it's like, wow, okay. And now when I really think of that, like how sacred we are in knowing all of this, but I don't have to be all of them all at once or anything like that. But to take what is useful today and that isn't working anymore. I had my own rage about the Indigenous issue here in Canada and the shame, and I've moved into a calmness, but then it can raise its little head up again for me to look at it and say, okay, because my question now is, I know some of the survivors are talking and saying they have forgiven this episode in their life, this experience. And I said, I'm not there yet. I pray that I will become that. I'm trying to understand. So that's why I'm listening to all of the survivor stories at the moment. So I'm listening as they've asked us to, as a country, to understand and to support, etc. And so I'm asking myself the question, that didn't happen to me. So why is it that I am holding on so much of this that I haven't let go of yet? So I'm in an inquiry, I guess, for myself. But, if I was in a group, I would probably get an answer very quickly because of the intensity or how I put myself out there and be involved in it. And so I just trust the answer will come when I'm supposed to be able to let go. But part of it for me is I'm very drawn to thinking of doing like healing circles like this for many with my ministry and beyond about it. And so I think that's part of it, and ask myself because how am I going to show up in any other future situation? But if I bring my whole self, and not the person who I thought it might be, but to do this now with consciousness and with intention, I think that can be a very healing process. And sharing and listening. No judgment. That's the other thing about us in this circle group, that there isn't a judgment. We can do that ourselves. We don't need anybody else's help. And so I think that it just keeps going to an understanding of who we are and how we give and how we receive. Because I see it as a contribution and a distribution. I may be saying something, and then it gets distributed in our tribe or here online as we talk on Zoom. It's being distributed out there into the world. And I know that it will make a difference for whoever wants to hear or how it touches your heart. Because we are heart-based. We are heart-centered. We come from a loving place. And so I think that's the benefit of how can we achieve this in different ways, or what can you do is like, I just see us creating circles. I was going to write you this morning.
Beautiful.
This is what I would like to do here in Canada. As an accomplice.
Excellent. As an accomplice.
As an accomplice.
Accomplice in this peace building business.
I've signed up.
Oh, yay! That is so great to hear, Mary Ellen. And I like how you we want to bring that circle out. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, yes, that is what I realize. That is what I'm doing. Like, for example, this past weekend, we went down to South Florida, and it was a friend's birthday. So it was a group of women, a group of mates. We've been friends for a while, but even though we're friends, in many fronts we are opponents. We have very different views, And we were standing outside and something came up, and my first thought was like, oh, let's not talk about this. It's one of those, topics that you don't want to really discuss. And so everyone had a different opinion. And it's funny, earlier you had said something, Mary Ellen, that, like an old habit came up, and I found myself with kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. And I stopped. I thought I'm going to listen. And it was funny because these are my dear friends. There were 6 of us, dear friends, but at that moment, they were all my opponents. And there's opponents of each other too. And I almost started chuckling because I had my knee-jerk reaction. I stopped, I stood back, and I started listening. And I realized we were actually standing in a circle. It just naturally happened that way because so we could all see each other and talk to each other. And I realized by not having a knee-jerk reaction or not, I think the word white privilege came out of my mouth. I said, oh, Corinne. I drew it back in and just listened. And even though I did not agree with so many things being said, I was trying to listen underneath that and to hear what it was they were saying, because as well, they've been conditioned as well. We get conditioned and we make these comments, we make these assumptions. And I'm listening, and I would just gently say, well, here's another perspective, and let's look at this, let's look at that. And then they would talk as well, and I would listen and not correct, not give my opinion over it. And I think what happens when we do that is now there was a little bit of tension because we all disagreed, and I think everybody was a little nervous about that because we're friends, right? But sometimes you disagree, but they'll remember that calmness. Mm-hmm. Maybe next time they're in a situation, they might remember that little impromptu circle we had, and they'll remember how calm it was and it was sweet because one of the ladies said, we need to do this, like get people to talk in a setting where they can express their opinions. And I started laughing at that point. I go, well, guys, what I do. Circle up. That's what I do. And and it's just, it's sweet, but I didn't say anything about circle up. And she said that, we should try this, talking with respect to each other. So I think what people do then is they remember the experience, and that's how we can take circles out there.
Absolutely.
Just treat people with respect and listen. Doesn't mean you agree. You don't have to agree, but you can listen and try to listen for the message underneath the conditioned words that they say.
Mm-hmm. We have to create safe space for people to be able to move through their stuff. It's taken me all these years of my life to get where I am now. There's a lot of things in my younger days that I didn't think the way I do now, or just didn't carry myself in the way that I do now. So we have to create that non-judgmental space. For people to be able to face who they are, to look at their past, to look at some of the things that may not be as pretty as they'd like them to be, and just realize that it just means you're a human being, right? It's like, that's like everybody's story. Only we don't get to know that until we're in a community, where people are actually sharing that kind of thing. So,
right. Yeah. So true.
I think what you did, Corinne, was use that as your example, was like you were an accomplice at that moment in a situation where you stopped yourself and calmed yourself and allowed yourself to listen instead of being triggered. So that's what, when you look at how do we listen to our opponents, that's a great example of how it is about sort of zipping our mouth up and listening with our heart to understand perhaps where they're coming from, or to even know deeper as we are listeners, to know that they come from a woundedness. We may not,
yes,
that's the piece about
Yeah.
What Valarie refers to us as revolutionary love, the labor of love is to stay in that love arena. And if we can't, that's the thing I like about having a buddy system or something, is like you were there alone, but if you couldn't have done it, if I was with you, I might have stepped in because I might have seen your knee jerk or whatever, and know that I'm not triggered, so I can come step in. And I think that's the other gift about paying attention. But I know what it's like to be alone.
Yeah.
And I call it almost an act of humility, about humbling yourself to just be with it all and not have any comment. And I think it's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe for me, it's safe for you and anybody else that's in that situation. And I think that safety is a big thing in revolutionary love to me.
Yes. Well, ladies, I hate to have to wrap things up, but we are on a time crunch, and I thank you for a really rich and deep and beautiful conversation. I hope people got a lot of takeaways, and I just thank you for being part of my tribe and being wonderful listeners and helping me in my healing. And I'm just grateful for both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for both of you as well.
Love you, ladies. Mwah. Alrighty. Let's see. We'll move on to the next part of our service, our conversation. And that is, let's see, what are we doing next? We are sharing gifts and tithes. Yes, so the Center for Spiritual Living Ocala exists because of the generosity of the people who follow us, who believe in this message, whose lives have changed from the things that they've heard and learned and experienced. And of course, you know, we're like any other establishment business. We have bills, and so if you could contribute something to the Center for Spiritual Living, we would greatly appreciate it. We appreciate all the gifts, whether they are gifts of money, gifts of time. We just thank you for it. And so we believe that what we give, you know, and what we appreciate appreciates, right? That's that word. It gets bigger. It gets bigger. So ways that we show our appreciation is by giving. So it creates this kind of circle, this snowball effect, right? The more you give, the more you get, and the more you give, and it just, you know, it builds on itself. So I want to lead you in this affirmation and invite you, if you'd like to donate to CSL Ocala, you can go to our website and go to cslocala.org/donate, or you can send a text if you have a smartphone. It's called Text to Tithe, and you call, or rather you text the number from your cell phone, 352-320-5110, and you put in the amount of money that you want to send CSL Ocala, and once you set it up, you hit send, and it's real easy. So there you go. Those are a couple of ways you can give. So the next thing is our affirmation, and I just invite you to make these words your own. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am grateful. And I say those words with total sincerity and knowing I am blessed, and I am deeply grateful for each one of you who hangs out with us and, as I said, gives to the Center for Spiritual Living, and to my dear friends and the people behind the scenes who help make this happen. Let's see if we've got any announcements coming up. Our next in-person gathering at CSL Ocala will be August 8th, and that is at the Showcase Event Center, formerly the Ocala Ballroom. So if you happen to be in the Ocala area and would like to meet up with us in person, there is a meditation at 11 o'clock, and the actual service will start at 11:30. And then little groups get together and go to lunch. So the next thing that's happening is our Zoom conversation. Right after this broadcast, we'll be meeting on Zoom. That's not recorded. That's just, again, that kind of safe space where people can speak and feel like they've been listened to and to share, and, prayer requests and things like that. So you are welcome to join us. The link is in the chat. And we'll see you there in a little bit. Let's see if there's anything else. Any other announcements? I think that probably wraps it up for us. No, there was one more announcement. There is Big Sky. I don't know if that's there or not. Do we have a slide? There we go, a slide for Big Sky. The theme at this year's Big Sky retreat is illumination, and it is being held September 4th through 9th. At the Big Sky Retreat in Big Sky, Montana, and I will be one of the speakers this year. So I'm super excited about this. And if any of you would love to come hang out and just be on a mountaintop and enjoy the amazing views and the amazing people, it's just an experience that's unforgettable, that you will never forget. So I think that's it. Maybe now we can close out with our closing prayer. And this is the prayer for protection that comes from our sister organization, Unity, and James Dillard Freeman. And it goes this way. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And I just affirm that all is indeed well in your world, and that even those things that look like challenges or problems just become your stepping stones to something greater. Love and blessings to each one of you. Have a great week.